What if I told you that R&B artists whose songs warmed our hearts also faced challenge that the majority of their fans were unaware of? Many well-loved artists lost their lives to the harsh reality of drug addiction. From the iconic Rick James, whose substance use causes his heart to deteriorate, to Dinah Washington, who put together a deadly combination of drugs which eventually led to their death. Here are 20 worst R&B stars who drugged themselves to death. Number 1. David Ruffin. David was greatly impacted by blues and gospel music. He eventually left home to pursue a singing career because of his passion for music, beginning his career with local ensembles prior to his breakthrough. I Wish It Would Rain was one of Ruffin's finest songs, showcasing his powerful delivery of a devastating tale of unrequited love and grief. The Temptations parted ways with Ruffin in 1968 because of personality conflicts, his challenging conduct, and his growing drug addiction. Ruffin's violent attitude caused him to leave the group, which at the time was a huge loss for them as they were working toward a more harmonic sound with fresh members. David Ruffin started a solo career after leaving the Temptations, but his battles with drug addiction still plagued him. Even though he recorded some excellent music, his personal problems frequently took precedence over his artistic achievements. Due to his substance misuse, he was frequently discovered in precarious situations and arrested multiple times for drug-related offenses. David Ruffin passed away in a friend's Philadelphia home after overdosing on cocaine. He was allegedly discovered unconscious and sent to a hospital where he was declared deceased. It was confirmed that he died from an accidental overdose. Number 2. Rick James. James was born into a military family and enlisted in the U.S. Navy as a teenager, serving in Vietnam. He left the service early to pursue a career in music, playing in a number of bands before relocating to California in search of better opportunities. His solo recordings began in the mid-1970s, but his career really took off in the 1980s. Smooth R&B with funk elements, You and I was his first big success. Super Freak. The song that became his hallmark smash, with its distinctive bass line and bold, confident lyrics. Many consider the song to be a funk anthem, and it has been sampled in many songs, such as You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer. James's audacious and outrageous persona earned him the title of King of Punk Funk. With his flashy attire, lavish hairstyles, and a blend of rock star haughtiness and lighthearted charm, he embraced the excesses of the 1980s. The well-documented substance misuse of James, especially cocaine, ultimately played a role in his demise. His reputation as a party warrior and heavy drug user had a detrimental impact on both his career and health. Rick James had a number of legal issues in the 1990s, including a well-known 1993 conviction for the abduction and abuse of a lady. James was incarcerated for a while, and his reputation suffered greatly. A later incident in 2004 involved him assaulting a woman and was charged with violence. This was one of many behaviors that came to be linked to his unpredictable way of life. James's substance misuse had caused his health to deteriorate over time. He had been admitted to the hospital several times in the months before his death due to heart problems and substance abuse. Number 3. Esther Phillips. At a young age, Esther Phillips was exposed to music, and the blues and gospel music were among her first inspirations. She started performing as a teenager, and when Johnny Otis heard her singing at a nightclub at the age of 14, he became aware of her. As a result, Savoy Records signed her. Double Crossing Blues. Her early career began with a blues song that was her first single. Release Me. Her best song and first significant R&B chart success was this one. It was a crossover between country and soul that peaked at number 10 on the pop charts. Phillips spent a large portion of her life abusing drugs, especially heroin. Due to her unpredictable conduct, health concerns, and legal troubles, this addiction had a significant negative impact on both her personal and professional lives. Her addiction frequently prevented her from fulfilling her professional obligations, which resulted in years of inconsistent performance schedules and spells of notoriety. Phillips reportedly spent a large portion of her career in and out of recovery facilities, but her addiction persisted. She recovered well in the 1970s and was able to pick up some steam in her career, recording for Kudu Records and enjoying a comeback to the limelight. The cause of her death was chronic drug abuse, induced liver, and renal failure. After years of struggling with addiction, Esther Phillips passed away at the early age of 48. She suffered from substance misuse, which had a terrible impact on her health and ultimately led to her death. Number 4. Frankie Lymon, American singer and songwriter. Frankie Lymon is most renowned for being the main vocalist of Frankie Lymon and the Teenagers, a pioneering doo-wop group. Despite being brief, his career had a significant influence on the evolution of pop, rock and roll, and R&B music. As one of the most recognizable characters from the doo-wop era, Lyman's voice, with its young enthusiasm and amazing range, made him an early pop success in the late 1950s. The Teenagers' song, "Why Do Fools Fall in Love?" became an immediate hit after Lyman, then just 14 years old, took over as lead vocalist. Reaching number 1 on the R&B charts and number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, the song became an enormous hit. It contributed to the group's reputation in music history and is considered by many to be among the most important songs in rock and roll history. Internal conflicts arose in spite of the group's achievements. Lyman's relationships with the other members of the band suffered as a result of his rise to popularity. Lyman sought a solo career after the Teenagers broke up soon after their popularity. Although Lyman created solo songs, none of them were as successful as his previous work with the Teenagers. The commercial success of hits like "Goody Goody" and "I'm Not a Juvenile Delinquent" was less. Lyman's battle with drug addiction, particularly heroin, hampered his capacity to regularly perform and record as his fame waned. During his brief solo career, his personal life got more chaotic as his addiction issues deteriorated. In addition, Lyman had a reputation for having relationship troubles, such as several marriages and legal troubles. Prior to his passing, he was married 3 times, including to Zola Taylor, a member of the girl band The Platters. Tragically, a heroin overdose at the age of 25 ended Frankie Lyman's life. He was discovered dead, penniless, and alone in his apartment in Harlem. His passing was a startling and depressing end to a life full of potential. Number 5. Andy Gibb. Growing up in a family steeped in the music industry, Andy, the youngest of the Gibb siblings, was exposed to music from a young age. When Andy first became interested in music, the Bee Gees were already popular, and his older brothers had a big impact on his career. When Andy Gibb joined RSO Records in 1977, the same label that signed the Bee Gees, it was his big break. His early career was greatly influenced by his siblings, who also assisted him in developing the sound that would make him a celebrity. In 1977, his first song, "I Just Want to Be Your Everything," was released, marking his breakthrough. The song, which was written by his brothers Barry and Robin Gibb, shot to fame after becoming an immediate hit and peaking at number 1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. Andy's romantic life also drew media attention due to his high-profile partnerships, such as his brief relationship with actress Victoria Principal, who is most recognized for her work on the television show Dallas. These relationships were frequently the subject of juicy tabloid material, but they were also tainted by his continuous battles with addiction. His battles with substance misuse, specifically with cocaine and alcohol, increased together with his rise to popularity. He became notorious for his inconsistent work schedule and erratic behavior, which were made worse by the demands of fame. He famously struggled with live performances, occasionally skipping shows or showing signs of intoxication. Andy's career started to stall in the early 1980s, and his substance usage problems persisted. He tried to turn his life around when his health declined, and he stopped playing music, but the damage had already been done. Sadly, Andy Gibb passed away at the age of 30. His life was filled with both personal sorrow and great promise, and it ended with heart failure brought on by complications from his long-term drug use. Grab your popcorn as we take a deep dive into the stories of these artists who left the world too soon. Number 6. Dinah Washington. Growing up in Chicago, Washington was exposed to gospel music at a young age while attending church. As a teenager, she fell in love with performing and started to win talent shows. It was difficult to classify Dinah Washington's music. She created songs with a distinct tone, emotional depth, and clear enunciation by fusing pop, R&B, jazz, and blues in a way that was all her own. Her career took off when she joined Lionel Hampton's big band in the early 1940s. Hits like Evil Gal Blues and Salty Papa Blues, which showcased her command of jazz with a blues influence, were among her first solo records in 1943. Washington was the most successful black female musician of the time, with 33 top 10 R&B songs between 1948 and 1955. Washington switched between genres with ease, singing love pop ballads one minute, blues laments the next, and jazz standards the next. She became well-liked by both white and black audiences as a result. Leading jazz performers Clifford Brown, Cannonball Adderley, and Brooke Benton were among her frequent collaborators. The two recorded the popular duet, Baby, You've Got What It Takes. Her Grammy Award-winning pop single, What a Difference a Day Makes, peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. She demonstrates her abilities to interpret songs with nuance and force in Unforgettable, Teach Me Tonight, and I Wanna Be Loved. Prior to her passing, she was married 7 times, especially to Dick Night Train Lane, a football player for the Detroit Lions. Because of her emotional intensity and personal instability, her relationships were often turbulent and brief. She frequently battled depression, insecurity, and the difficulties of being a famous black woman in the segregated American music industry, despite her public success. In the 1950s and 1960s, Dinah Washington was one of many entertainers under pressure who took prescription drugs, such as tranquilizers, diet pills, and sleeping pills. She also reportedly took amphetamine-based diet pills to help her manage her weight and to treat her severe insomnia, which at the time was a risky combination. Dinah passed away on December 14, 1963, at the age of 39, from an accidental overdose of prescription barbiturates and diet pills, a deadly combination. Number 7. Vesta Williams. Vesta demonstrated her vocal prowess and industry recognition by serving as a background vocalist for well-known artists such as Chaka Khan, Anita Baker, Gladys Knight, and Sting, before establishing herself as a solo artist. With tracks like these from her debut album, Vesta made her breakthrough in the R&B scene. Her vocal range is on display in the minor R&B smash Once Bitten, Twice Shy. She had her first top 20 R&B single, Don't Blow a Good Thing. She also dabbled in voice acting and appeared in theme songs and advertising jingles for TV series including Sister, Sister, and The Huleys. Vesta was candid about her weight gain issues, which had an impact on her professional prospects and health. She formerly weighed more than 300 pounds. Later in life, she shed a lot of pounds and started advocating for health awareness, especially for women of African American descent. The fact that Vesta's death was connected to prescription drug usage, despite the fact that her drug use was not well known throughout her existence, prompted questions about the quiet battles with pain, melancholy, and mental health. Her personal life was kept relatively private, but friends and insiders later suspected she had been dealing with emotional stress and even severe discomfort. The coroner's report stated that she died of natural causes, specifically an enlarged heart, despite earlier speculations of a potential overdose. Prescription drugs were discovered after toxicology testing, though, pointing to a more complicated health picture. Number 8. Gangsta Boo. Gangsta Boo was raised in Memphis in a middle-class household. When she was young, her parents divorced, and she subsequently characterized her childhood as loving yet severe. She started penning rhymes and freestyling with friends from the vicinity while she was in her early teens. The soul sounds of the South, the raw realities of Memphis streets, and the growing local rap culture all influenced Boo's musical preferences. At the age of 14, she became well known as the first female member of the powerful rap group 3 6 Mafia. The group's hallmark style was shaped by her unique voice and audacious lyrics, which were featured on albums such as Mystic Styles and When the Smoke Clears, 66, 61. Due to problems with money and promotions, Gangsta Boo left 3 6 Mafia in 2001 and went on to have a prosperous solo career. On Billboard's Top R&B Hip Hop Albums chart, her debut album, Inquiring Minds, peaked at number 15. Both World's 9 and Inquiring Minds 2, the soap opera, are among the songs she has released thus far. She has also worked with artists like Run the Jewels, Gucci Mane, Outkast, and Eminem. The Blueprint was a new project she was working on when she passed away. Gangsta Boo was discovered unconscious at her mother's Memphis house on January 1, 2023. She accidentally overdosed on cocaine, fentanyl, and alcohol, according to an autopsy. Number 9. Rob Pilatus. Pilatus was born to a German dancer and an African-American serviceman. Before being taken in by a Munich family, he was raised in an orphanage in Bavaria. He experienced racial prejudice as a child. His classmates called him Kunta Kinte, a reference to the African hero in the movie Roots. French and Pilatus fab Morvan, a German dancer, established the duo Milli Vanilli in 1988 after meeting in Munich. Producer Frank Farian found them and thought they would become a pop smash. Hits like Girl You Know It's True, Blame It on the Rain, and Baby Don't Forget My Number helped the team attain enormous commercial success. Millions of copies of their debut record were sold globally. Milli Vanilli took home the Grammy for Best New Artist in 1990. But the victory didn't last long. In November 1990, producer Frank Farian disclosed that session vocalists had performed the vocals on Pilatus and Morvan's songs instead of them. Public indignation followed this discovery. The Grammy Award was revoked by the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, and the pair was widely criticized. Pilatus had legal troubles after the scandal, including accusations of assault and vandalism. In addition, he battled substance problems and received treatment. Pilatus and Morvan released their album Robin Fab in 1993, which featured their real voices. The CD didn't help them resurrect their careers and barely sold about 2,000 copies, despite their best efforts. Pilatus was discovered dead in a hotel room on April 3, 1998, after unintentionally overdosing on prescription medications and alcohol. When he passed away, he was 32 years old. Unfortunately, these stars' journey from pop glory to personal strife comes to an end with their death. Number 10. Whitney Houston. Whitney was raised in a musical household and started singing in church at an early age. Prior to becoming well-known, Houston was a fashion model and backed vocalist for Chaka Khan and Lou Rawls. Houston was signed to Arista Records by Clive Davis when she was 19 years old, and her first album, Whitney Houston, was the best-selling debut album by a female singer at the time. Whitney Houston's catalog included classics like How Will I Know and Saving All My Love for You. Whitney featured the #1 single, I Wanna Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me. The Protector. The soundtrack, which included her performance of I Will Always Love You, went on to become one of the all-time best-selling soundtracks. Houston starred in a number of movies, such as The Preacher's Wife, Waiting to Exhale, and The Bodyguard. She got many honors during her career, such as 6 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year and Record of the Year for I Will Always Love You. She received 2 Emmys, including one for her role on The Merv Griffin Show, 22 American Music Awards, and 30 Billboard Music Awards. In 1992, she married Bobby Brown, and the two had a daughter named Bobby Christina Brown. Both of them were subject to media scrutiny, and their relationship was frequently in the spotlight. Houston's drug addiction issues received a lot of media attention. During her career, she went into rehab several times. At the age of 48, she passed away on February 11, 2012. Accidental drowning in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel was the cause of death, according to the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. Cocaine usage and atherosclerotic heart disease were contributing factors. She also had traces of Xanax, Flexeril, Benadryl, and marijuana in her system. Number 11, Bobby Brown Jr. Bobby Brown Jr., a member of the well-known Brown family, was born in Los Angeles, California. Bobby Brown, his father, is a well-known singer who has performed both solo and with the legendary group New Edition. Although they were not married, his mother, Kim Ward, is well known for having been Bobby Brown's longtime companion. Bobby Brown Jr. aspired to become a well-known musician and establish himself in the music industry. He was active on social media, sharing personal stories and promoting his love of music. And he was frequently spotted in public endorsing his father. He was never as well known as his father or Bobby Christina, but he was making progress toward a musical career by frequently sharing samples of his songs online. At the age of 28, Bobby Brown Jr.'s life was sadly cut short. He was discovered unconscious in his Los Angeles residence on November 18, 2020. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner determined that his death was unintentional and attributed it to the combined effects of fentanyl, cocaine, and alcohol. His family, who had already suffered a great deal, was dealt a serious blow when the combination of drugs resulted in an overdose. In 2015, Bobby Brown Jr.'s half-sister, Bobby Christina Brown, passed away under similar circumstances 5 years prior to his own death. The risk of drug usage, particularly fentanyl, which has been connected to an increase in overdose deaths in recent years, has been brought to light by the Brown family's experience with substance misuse and the tragic death of loved ones. Number 12, Phyllis Hyman. Phyllis Hyman was a well-known American singer, composer, and actress who was praised for her emotionally charged performances and rich contralto voice. She gained popularity in the 1970s and 1980s with songs including You Know How to Love Me and Living All Alone. She was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on July 6, 1949. She also received a nomination for a Tony Award and a Theatre World Award for her performance in the Broadway show Sophisticated Ladies. Hyman had a lot of personal struggles in spite of her career success. She battled substance misuse, including alcohol and narcotics, and bipolar disorder, which was diagnosed in the 1980s. These challenges were worsened by financial troubles and a history of failed relationships, which she often expressed in her songs. Days before turning 46, on June 30th, 1995, Hyman committed suicide in her residence in New York City. Hours before her performance at the Apollo Theater, she overdosed on a mix of alcohol and barbiturates. A suicide note with the words, "I'm tired," was discovered. "I'm worn out. My loved ones are aware of who you are. God bless you." Number 13, Steven Rodriguez. A$AP Yams, whose real name was Steven Rodriguez, was a key member of the hip-hop scene and a co-founder of the powerful group A$AP Mob. The fortunes of musicians like A$AP Rocky and A$AP Ferg were greatly aided by his innovative leadership. Rodriguez had publicly talked about his struggles with substance misuse, including his usage of Xanax and codeine before he passed away. In a 2013 interview, he described how, while under the influence of these drugs, he choked on his own vomit during the Coachella Music Festival. Rodriguez continues to have a significant influence on the music industry in spite of these obstacles. His avant-garde attitude to culture and music influenced the development of contemporary hip-hop. Rodriguez was discovered unconscious in his Brooklyn apartment, and Woodhull Medical Center declared him dead despite attempts to resuscitate him. His death from an accidental drug overdose was later certified by the Office of the New York City Medical Examiner. The diagnosis of acute combined drug intoxication was made when opiates and benzodiazepines were found in his system. Number 14, Shifty Shell Shock. Shifty Shell Shock was the lead singer of the rap rock group Crazy Town, best remembered for their 2001 smash track, Butterfly. He was born Seth Brooks Binzer on August 23, 1974. The song became a defining single of the early 2000s nu metal era and peaked at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The band broke up in 2002 as a result of their future albums failing to achieve the same degree of success as this one. Later on, Binzer went solo and worked with British DJ Paul Oakenfold on the moderately successful song Starry-Eyed Surprise, released in 2002. In addition, he established the band Shifty and the Big Shots in 2010 and released his solo album Happy Lovesick in 2004. At the age of 12, Binzer started penning rap songs and lyrics. Early in life, he dealt with legal troubles, such as spending 3 months in the California Institution for Men for attempting to break and enter. His substance misuse issues were well reported, as seen by his participation in VH1's Celebrity Rehab and its spin-off program, Sober House. He fought addiction all of his life, even after several attempts at recovery. At the age of 49, Binzer died on June 24, 2024. He died after an accidental overdose of fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine, according to the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office. Number 15, Mac Miller, American rapper, producer, and songwriter. Mac Miller was born Malcolm James McCormick in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on January 19, 1992. He started his career in 2010 with the independent label Rostrum Records, where he initially gained notoriety for his mixtapes and debut album Blue Slide Park, which became the first independently distributed debut album to reach the top of the Billboard 200 chart since 1995. Over time, Miller's sound changed, including psychedelic rock, R&B, and jazz influences. His more mature and introspective tone was evident in his later albums, like Swimming, which reflected his own battles with addiction and mental illness. Mac Miller died after an accidental overdose of fentanyl, cocaine, and alcohol, according to an autopsy conducted after he was discovered unconscious in his Los Angeles home on September 7, 2018. Federal prosecutors accused a number of people of supplying fake oxycodone pills laced with fentanyl in connection with his death. Sadly, many cherished artists lost their lives to the harsh reality of addiction. Number 16, Gustav Elijah Orr. At an early age, Gustav's parents split, leaving him to grow up in Long Beach, New York, where he later wrote songs that reflected his experiences of emotional abandonment. Peep was a quiet and naturally creative child who developed an early interest in computers, fashion, music, and art. In addition to being sensitive and shy, he preferred to stay at home and make or listen to music rather than interact with others. Since he was a baby, his mother nicknamed him Peep. The nickname persisted and eventually became his stage name. Between 2013 and 2014, Peep started using a laptop and a simple microphone to create music from his bedroom. His early compositions, which combined rap beats with samples from rock and emo artists like Pierce the Veil, Brand New, and My Chemical Romance, were posted to SoundCloud and YouTube. Before settling on the alias Lil Peep started his musical career in 2013 under the name Trap Goose. He became well known thanks to mixtapes like Lil Peep, Part 1 and Hellboy, and songs like Star Shopping on SoundCloud. His debut studio album, Come Over When You're Sober, Part 1, released in August 2017, further confirmed his status in the music industry. He was open about his use of cocaine, Xanax, and other drugs, frequently characterizing them as a trap as well as a coping strategy. He spoke about heartbreak, inner turmoil, and suicidal thoughts on social media and in his lyrics, becoming a voice for young people who felt alienated. In Tucson, Arizona, Lil Peep was discovered unconscious in his tour van shortly before a planned show. According to the Pima County Medical Examiner, his death was unintentional and caused by the combined deadly effects of fentanyl and alprazolam. Xanax. Number 17, Tom Petty. As the frontman of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, American rock musician, vocalist, and songwriter, Tom Petty gained the most fame. With more than 80 million recordings sold globally during his career, he is among the best-selling musicians of all time. Some of his well-known songs are American Girl, Free Fallin', and I Won't Back Down. In addition, Petty was a member of the supergroup Traveling Wilburys. In 2002, he was admitted into the Rock and Roll Institute. Petty loathed corporate control over art. He notably fought with MCA Records in the late 70s over album price and royalties. He was never fond of becoming famous. For him, he was first and foremost a music lover and then a rock star. Fans adored Petty, but she struggled with drugs, anxiety, and a tumultuous first marriage. His 2007 documentary, Runnin' Down a Dream, and subsequent interviews showed a man who fought with the burden of being a voice of a generation, yet wished to stay grounded, fiercely devoted to his bandmates, and deeply valued musical integrity. Tom Petty viewed music as his salvation, providing him with meaning, a sense of belonging, and a way to connect after a difficult upbringing. At the age of 66, Tom Petty died on October 2, 2017, after suffering cardiac arrest at his Malibu residence. According to the Los Angeles County Coroner's findings, he accidentally overdosed on drugs and died. Multi-system organ failure resulted from the presence of fentanyl, oxycodone, temazepam, alprazolam, citalopram, acetylfentanyl, and dyspropionyl fentanyl in his system. Number 18. Michael Jackson. American singer, songwriter, and dancer. Michael Jackson is considered by many to be one of the greatest artists in history. Often referred to as the King of Pop, his innovative albums and live performances transformed popular culture, dance, and music. Michael was first exposed to music thanks to his father, Joseph, who saw his musical ability at a young age and encouraged him to practice. As a member of the Jackson 5, Michael started performing alongside his older siblings when he was just 5 years old. The trio signed with Motown Records in 1969, and songs like I Want You Back and ABC helped them become instantly successful. Michael, the group's lead singer, rose to prominence quite fast. Michael started to concentrate more on his solo career in the early 1970s. He released his debut solo album, Got to Be There, in 1971. It was a minor success, but it did highlight his distinctive vocal style. His follow-up was a tremendous smash with the title track, Ben, a song about a pet rat that became one of his first ballads to make it to the top 10. Michael Jackson unexpectedly died on June 25, 2009, after severe benzodiazepine and propofol intoxication that resulted in cardiac arrest. Following his unexpected passing, fans, fellow artists, and public figures expressed their sorrow and paid tribute. Number 19. Elvis Presley. At Sun Records, Elvis recorded his first professional song in 1954. As a result, the world heard a new sound with That's All Right, a blend of country and blues music. With this song and its successive hits, rock and roll emerged as a new musical genre. Elvis's first #1 single on the Billboard pop charts, Heartbreak Hotel, launched him into stardom. Elvis's voice was so adaptable that it could pass easily between pop, rock, gospel, and ballads. His music endured because of his charisma, emotional depth, and vocal range. Elvis tried his hand at acting and starred in a number of musical movies in addition to his singing career. The successful movie Love Me Tender featured him in his first significant role. He starred in about 30 movies throughout the 1960s, including popular ones like Elvis's prescription medication addiction was a major factor in his deteriorating health by the 1970s. He kept touring and performing in spite of his personal difficulties, but his health declined. Elvis Presley was discovered dead in his Memphis, Tennessee residence, Graceland, on August 16, 1977, at the age of 42. Cardiac arrhythmia, which was thought to be connected to his drug usage, was listed as the official cause of death. Number 20. Janis Joplin. Joplin experienced a sense of estrangement during her early years. When she was a teenager, she had body image issues and frequently felt uncomfortable in the segregated and traditional town of Port Arthur. Despite being a quiet and reflective girl, she found solace in music. The strong, expressive vocals of blues singers like Lead Belly and Bessie Smith had a profound impact on Joplin's own musical approach. In 1966, Joplin joined the psychedelic rock group Big Brother and the Holding Company, which was based in San Francisco. Joplin's strong and soulful voice was matched by the band's unadulterated bluesy sound. She soon emerged as the group's main attraction, and big audiences started to attend their shows. Joplin began her solo career in 1969 after leaving the Holding Company and Big Brother. I Got Dem Ol' Cosmic Blues Again Mama, her debut solo album, was released in 1969 by the Cosmic Blues Band, which she founded. In addition to the somewhat successful song, Try Just a Little Bit Harder, the album had a blend of blues, soul, and rock. Despite the conflicting reviews, Joplin's distinct style and poignant delivery remained notable. Tragically, Janis Joplin passed away at the age of 27. Joplin was discovered dead in her Hollywood apartment on October 4, 1970, after overdosing on heroin. To uncover more intriguing stories among Hollywood celebrities, don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.